Imagine yourself as a citizen in a country where every move is watched, every word analyzed, and every dissenting voice silenced. This is the reality for many living under the oppressive rule of the authoritarian regime in Belarus. The reach of state intelligence agencies extends far beyond borders, infiltrating every aspect of daily life. In this atmosphere of pervasive surveillance and intimidation, even the simplest acts of resistance carry grave risks. In this video, we'll talk about the power dynamics surrounding Belarus, which is under the influence of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Unveiling Belarus. Belarus looks calm on the outside, but there's trouble underneath. The economic challenges faced by the country add another layer of complexity, with many citizens struggling to make ends meet. President Lukashenko holds tight control. Despite the nostalgia for the Soviet past evident in monuments like the Stalin Line, dissent lurks beneath the surface. The close alliance with Russia further complicates Belarus's position on the world stage, as it becomes entangled in geopolitical tensions. There were claims that the 2020 election was rigged, and Svetlana Tikhanovskaya emerged as a major opposition figure, which symbolizes a growing desire of people for change. But the government doesn't like people who disagree. Human rights abuses and authoritarian tactics paint a grim picture of life for many Belarusians who yearn for greater freedom and democracy. Belarus is currently in a difficult situation, with tensions increasing. It's like a tightrope, and everyone's watching to see what happens next. The last European dictator, Alexander Lukashenko, often called the last European dictator, has ruled Belarus with an iron fist for over 3 decades. Lukashenko was born in 1954 and became Belarus's first president in 1994. Despite repeated charges of manipulated elections, Lukashenko remained in power, winning re-election many times with more than 80% of the vote, but the results were widely questioned. Lukashenko claimed an improbable victory, sparking nationwide protests. The response from Lukashenko's regime was swift and brutal. Security forces unleashed violence on peaceful protesters, leading to numerous injuries and arrests. His autocratic regime suppressed dissent, with opposition figures being arrested and imprisoned. Lukashenko's close relationship with Russia bolstered his power, with Belarus acting as a strategic ally to Putin. Belarus has been accused of several human rights violations under Lukashenko's rule, including protest crackdowns and media restrictions. Despite international censure and sanctions, Lukashenko remains rigid, clinging to power amid mounting domestic and international opposition. The repression of dissent. In Belarus, speaking out against the government can lead to severe consequences. Belarus operates as a surveillance state, tightly controlled by the KGB, its secret police force. Citizens live in constant fear of surveillance and intimidation. The presence of informers among the population adds to the sense of paranoia, with individuals hesitant to express dissenting opinions for fear of reprisal. Belarus is the only country of the former USSR to have kept the name KGB to refer to its secret police, and it has lost nothing of its formidable efficiency. The KGB arrests and imprisons without needing any justification. Daria and Igor's story shows how dissenters and their families suffer under President Lukashenko's rule. When Igor, a journalist, criticized the government, he was arrested by the KGB, the secret police. His trial was unfair, and he was sent to prison for 15 years. This left Daria, his wife, devastated. The KGB's efficiency in surveillance and enforcement ensures that opposition voices are swiftly silenced, with arbitrary arrests and imprisonments common occurrences. The Ryanair incident shook the world when a flight was hijacked by Belarusian authorities to arrest journalist Roman Protasevich. This bold move by Lukashenko's regime showcased a blatant disregard for international law. The act sparked outrage globally, emphasizing Belarus's spiral into lawlessness under Lukashenko's rule. The hijacking occurred in May 2021, when a Ryanair plane was forced to land in Minsk under the pretense of a bomb threat. Instead, Protasevich, a vocal critic of the regime, was detained. The incident drew condemnation from world leaders and prompted widespread sanctions against Belarus. These incidents underscore that those who dare to challenge his authority often face imprisonment, exile, or worse, and lengths to which Lukashenko would go to suppress dissent and silence opposition. Lukashenko's alliance with Putin. Lukashenko's close ties with Vladimir Putin provide him with crucial support amidst global scrutiny. Since coming to power in 1994, Lukashenko has relied on Putin's support to maintain his grip on authority, especially in the face of domestic opposition and international criticism. As authoritarian leaders, they forge a symbiotic relationship, aiding each other's agendas. Putin sees Lukashenko as a strategic ally, ensuring Belarus's alignment with Russian interests and serving as a buffer against Western influence in the region. In return, Lukashenko benefits from Putin's backing, particularly in times of political unrest or economic hardship. Putin's support has allowed Lukashenko to weather numerous challenges to his rule, including protests and sanctions from Western nations. However, Lukashenko's dependence on Putin comes with its own set of risks, as it leaves Belarus vulnerable to Russian influence and intervention. Nevertheless, their alliance persists, shaping the political landscape of Belarus and reinforcing Lukashenko's authoritarian rule. Military maneuvers and regional instability. Vladimir Putin is doing everything in his power to get his hands on Ukraine. For 1 year, Europe has forbidden all planes to land in Belarus. The Ukrainian crisis escalated when Russian troops, stationed in Belarus, invaded Ukraine. This move, orchestrated by President Lukashenko and supported by Vladimir Putin, shocked the world. Despite condemnation from Europe and the international community, the invasion proceeded, leading to a tense situation. The conflict not only threatened the sovereignty of Ukraine, but also destabilized the region. The invasion sparked fear and anxiety among neighboring countries, raising concerns about the potential spread of violence. As tensions escalated, diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis faced significant challenges. Reports indicated a significant Belarusian military mobilization, with tanks and troops observed near the Ukrainian border. This heightened military activity has raised concerns about the possibility of Belarusian involvement in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Additionally, there is growing unease over the presence of Russian troops in Belarus and the extent of their military buildup in the region. Satellite imagery and eyewitness accounts suggest that Russian forces have established a substantial presence, including the deployment of advanced weaponry and equipment. The close cooperation between Belarus and Russia has further fueled speculation about their intentions and potential actions in the region. The situation underscored the complexities of geopolitics and the delicate balance of power in Eastern Europe. The brutal crackdown and international response. In response to the pro-democracy protests, Lukashenko unleashed a brutal crackdown, resulting in casualties, arrests, and widespread human rights abuses. The regime's heavy-handed tactics drew condemnation from the international community, prompting swift responses and sanctions from Western nations. Despite these measures, Belarus continued to align itself closely with Russia, allowing Russian military presence on its soil and facilitating the invasion of Ukraine. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has significant implications for regional stability, sparking fears of a wider conflict and drawing international attention. The European Union is closely monitoring developments and considering further measures to address the crisis and mitigate its impact on regional security. Uncertain future. Despite the oppressive regime, Belarusians continue to resist and fight for their freedom. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya is at the forefront of the Belarusian resistance against Alexander Lukashenko's regime. Forced into exile in Lithuania due to threats to her life, Tikhanovskaya continues to advocate for democracy and human rights in Belarus. Despite the dangers she faces, she meets with European diplomats, mobilizes international support, and organizes resistance efforts within Belarus. Tikhanovskaya urges Belarusian soldiers to resist participating in Lukashenko's war in Ukraine and calls for solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Despite the risks involved, Tikhanovskaya remains determined to restore democracy to Belarus and end Lukashenko's grip on power. Her bravery and determination inspire hope among Belarusians longing for freedom and change. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.